All right, so tonight's games are in the books. I do want to do this before I get into the games, though. Don't go to those yet. Don't listen. So Pierre-Luc Dubois, it looks like, has played his last game as a member of the Columbus Blue Jackets. There's a trade coming probably tomorrow morning. I would think if it was going to happen tonight, it would have already happened. I will double check. It may happen tonight. I do have to do the preview tonight. And so it may happen between now and the preview when I start recording that. I don't know, but it may happen tomorrow. And it looks like the front runners, Anaheim and Winnipeg. And we'll see what the packages are, but apparently Laine and Roslovic being offered up by Winnipeg, and we'll see what else Columbus has to throw in, because you would think Laine and Roslovic for Dubois, there's got to be something else in there. But here we go. All right. So that being said, that's probably going to happen tomorrow morning. I'll make sure that I have my alerts all set up on my phone, just in case it's ridiculously early in the morning here when that happens, because that does happen at times. And here we go. So Buffalo and Washington. I feel bad for Buffalo tonight. So they're 1-3-1 now. They've won 1 out of 5. Washington's 3-0-2. But this was a game that it felt like Buffalo probably deserved a better fate. So let's go ahead and get into this. It's Ullmark versus Vanacek, of course, for the next 4 games, including tonight. Minimum, Washington will be without some core players. Now, the Caps did press 4 minutes into this game. I thought the Capitals did pretty well in the first period. The shots were 6-1, in fact, in favor of Washington at 6.5 minutes. Toby Reeder then had a chance that just barely missed, and then it's Stahl from Olofsson at 12 minutes and 33 seconds. So Eric Stahl gets on the board tonight with his first as a member of the Sabres, but less than 4 minutes later, it's Backstrom from Wilson and Dillon at 16-18. So the Caps tie it up. And this was the issue for Buffalo tonight in this game. All right, that's unusual. It's unusual I don't get a goal on the board, but I did have a period in time tonight where there were a lot of goals happening at the exact same period in time, so I just didn't have one of them on the board. Fix that. The Sabres press, they draw a power play. Vanacek then denied Olofsson. So Olofsson, I thought, had probably the best game he's had all season. We go to the second period. Dowd scores relatively early from Vrana and Carlson at 4:14. Things get kind of unpleasant between these teams 7.5 minutes in. Remember, this is the 3rd time they've met each other out of 8 meetings this year. Dylan Cousins, though, nice steal in on his own. Scores his first NHL goal at 10:43. I knew the kid would be able to do it. Nice to see him doing that. We then get some 4-on-4 play. Vrana scores from Chara and Oshie at 13:07. So Zdeno Chara with his first point as a member of the Capitals. It still doesn't look right, but it's what it is. And then Sheahan answers 42 seconds later from Skinner and Lazar. So there's a lot of players tonight that got off the schneid. A lot of players who were in slumps. And it's not just in this game. It's in a lot of games tonight where they broke out and they got their first points of the year, maybe their first goals. So after the second period, we're in a tie game. It's 3-3. And third period, Ullmark had a good game to that stage. The Sabres get a power play. The Caps were pressing at the 8-minute mark. Some good back and forth action at the half. And again, I thought, Buffalo's having a really good game. They're playing well on the road. And they're showing that they can play with the Caps. This what I thought was better than the first 2 matchups between these teams. And then Ullmark stopped a tip by Hathaway. The Sabres call a timeout with 32.5 seconds left. But we go to overtime. In the overtime, the Caps opened it on the power play. Ullmark absolutely robbed Backstrom. And Washington got all the shots in the overtime. Could not get that winner. But in the shootout, Carlson gets the winner. So in a shootout, the Washington Capitals win, go to 3-0-2. Buffalo takes that loss. They'll meet again on Sunday. The shots were 11-7 in favor of Washington in the first, 14-10 Buffalo in the second. In the third, they were 7-6 Washington, 4-0 Washington in the overtime. Final shots 32-27 in favor of the Caps. Buffalo 0-2 on the power play. Washington 0-1. Ullmark, 29 saves on 32 shots. Vanacek, 24 saves on 27 shots. I thought both goalies played pretty good. It is, one thing that's standing out to me this year, it feels like all the goalies have changed. Not just like teams, but it feels like there's a whole bunch of goalie names that 2 years ago weren't in the NHL. Maybe it's just me. Is it just, it's just me? All right. Okay, no, it's fine if it's just me. That's okay. Next up, Rangers and Penguins. Speaking of teams that I thought deserved probably a better fate, now it's the Rangers' turn. The Rangers are now 1-2-1. Pittsburgh is 3-2. You know, I said before the season started, I looked at this division and I said, you know, this looks like a year that Pittsburgh's probably going to drop out, but I don't like to bet against Pittsburgh. And I don't. The shots were 2-0 for the Rangers 5 minutes in. Strome had a chance all alone. He was denied. Crosby then had a wraparound chance that was stopped. And then it's Brian Rust that's not stopped from Ceci and Malkin at 10:29. The Rangers then get a power play. Zibanejad takes a puck to the chin. He stayed in the game. Wasn't directly to the chin. It deflected up into his chin. Crosby then with a fast break and narrowly missed pass on that fast break too. Last minute, there's a chance for Rust. So while the score is 1-0, there were some plays that were close that could have made it 2-3, 4-0 in this period. Second period, first minute, the Rangers get a power play. They don't score on it. However, Hedl scores from DiGiuseppe at 2:41. The Rangers get their third power play of the game. They score on this one. Fox from Panarin at 5:18, and then 24 seconds left. Don't look now, it's Capo Caco with a goal from DiGiuseppe. So all of a sudden at 5:42, with 3 goals in about 3 minutes time, the Rangers are up 3-1. Looks pretty good, right? If you're the Rangers, things look pretty good. Timeout called by the Penguins. Very smart move by Mike Sullivan. Perfect time to call a timeout. That's what you do. You call a timeout, you settle them down. I don't even know if he necessarily said anything to them, because masks, right? So I don't know that he said anything or much to them at all. He probably didn't need to say much. Just settle it down and just relax. Just, you know, settle the whole thing down. Penguins get a power play. They got another power play, and they score on this one. So they got their power plays back-to-back. They were the only 2 they had tonight. McCann scores from Rodriguez and Letang at 16:56. That made it 3-2, and that goal felt really important because now it's a 1-goal lead going into the third. Crossbar for the Rangers in the first minute, which had to sting. Penguins pressed at 6 minutes. Then there's a power play for the Rangers. They don't score on that. But then it's Teddy Bluger scoring from Joseph and Kapanen at 11:23. So Joseph with his first point in the National Hockey League, and that tied it up. So we go to overtime. In overtime, early play favored the Pens. Both teams ended up hitting the post in overtime. Both of them. And then the Rangers had a 2-on-1, and Tristan Jarry made a nice save. So Jarry, who came into tonight with some pressure to have a good game, he did. And then in the shootout, it is Chris Letang that gets the winner. So the Pittsburgh Penguins win this one 4-3 in the shootout. The shots were 14-8 in the first in favor of the Rangers, 10-7 Pittsburgh in the second, 11-8 Rangers in the third, 3-2 Penguins in the overtime. Final shots 34 for the Rangers, 29 for Pittsburgh. Power plays, the Rangers go 1 for 4, Pittsburgh goes 1 for 2. Shesterkin saves 26 out of 29, Jarry saves 31 out of 34. And the Penguins emerge with the extra point out of this. And again, with this division being as tough as it is, these are lost points that Buffalo and the Rangers are potentially going to look back on and say that was the night where if we could have just won that. Next up, Oilers, Maple Leafs. This was a fun game, and it's good because even Leon Draisaitl before this game admitted, yeah, the first matchup between our teams was boring. The first game these teams played against each other was boring, which was not expected. Tonight, well, for people who wanted to throw all the dirt on Freddie Anderson's career and declare him done as a starter in Toronto, maybe hold off on that just a little bit. Early chance for the Oilers. Simmons then had a chance that was stopped by Koskinen. And there was more open space than last time. There was more shots than I remembered in the last game, where it felt like both teams were kind of playing a modified version of the trap. Tavares had a chance that was stopped. Anderson then stopped Cassian. Holds onto the puck on the play that followed that. And then the Leafs pressed with 3.5 minutes left. But we come out of the first period scoreless. But it's a different feeling. In that first period, there's 23 shots. There's a lot of flow. There's a lot of chances. Just both goalies are playing very well. Second period, early chance for McDavid was stopped. Connor McDavid had, again, a lot of opportunities, but he's getting blanketed out there. Power play then for the Oilers. It manages 2 shots. The Leafs get a power play. And on that power play, it is a turnover. Kyler Yamamoto is emerging as a really legit, I don't know about superstar, but he's kind of a star player in his own right. So he gets the setup to Draisaitl at 5 minutes and 12 seconds. But then during that power play, Brooks gets his first from Spezza and Brody at 5:55. So that evens it up. It's 1-1 at that stage. Koskinen denied Tavares after that. The shots were 18 apiece 30 minutes into the game. So we're halfway through the game. The shots are 18 each. Both teams have a goal. That's pretty accurate. VC scores from Nylander and Kerfoot at 11 minutes and 16 seconds. So William Nylander, again on the score sheet. Very good start to the season for him. We'll see how many points he ends up with 56 games, but 60 points is reachable for him at this stage. Power play then for the Oilers. And then in the last 10 seconds, Muzzin almost ends up putting one in his own net. Almost bounced in off of him. I'm not sure what it is with Jake Muzzin and pucks bouncing off of him into the net, but it's now a theme. Try to bounce it off Muzzin. Again, we'll see how long that continues. We go to the third period with Toronto in the lead, but 50 seconds in, I'm going to say 56, but it wasn't 56, it was 50 seconds in, McDavid tips one. Bear with the shot from the point. Nugent Hopkins had dug it out to him, and so that's a tie game. Yamamoto then had a chance that went wide. Koskinen denied Hyman. Good game by Zach Hyman tonight, too. In the absence of Joe Thornton, you need somebody to step up. I thought he did very well. The Leafs get a power play, and they score on it. And it's Tavares scoring from Marner and Nylander at 11:46. So they were perfect on the power play tonight. Not a lot of opportunities, but when they got them, they made them count. Puljujarvi then had a chance that was stopped. Goaltender gets pulled with 1 minute and 28 seconds left. They call a timeout with 44.7 seconds left. Anderson denied James Neal. And then Marner into the empty net at 19:59. There was 0.4 seconds left when that puck went in the net. And so that makes the final score 4-2. And the Leafs go to 4-2 while the Oilers drop to 2-4. So it's an important swing of points here. And now the Oilers move on. I think they play Winnipeg next. And Toronto's 4-2. They're doing very well for themselves. The shots were 12-11 for Toronto in the first, 10-9 Edmonton in the second, 11-8 Edmonton in the third. So Edmonton outshoots them 32-29. I thought they played maybe a better game than they played in the first one, and yet Toronto wins this one. Power plays, Edmonton 0-2, Toronto 2-2. That's the difference maker. Koskinen saves 25 out of 28. Anderson saves 30 out of 32. And again, for people who wanted to talk about how we can just get rid of Freddie Anderson and doesn't matter who replaces him because he's not good enough. I think he did okay tonight. I think he did a good job. It's just me saying, but I think he did a good job. All right, Detroit. So the Detroit, I can't really call it a bandwagon. I can't because it's not. But tonight, Detroit goes in against Chicago, a team in the Hawks that, they got some pride. And they've got some good players. And tonight it showed. Bertuzzi had a close one in the first minute. And I thought, okay, so maybe Detroit's gonna win this one going away. Larkin then with a turnover. Grice bailed him out. The shots were 5-4 Wings, 5 minutes into the game. So there was a lot of opportunities both ways. But Detroit seemed to have more control. Lankinen was sharp in the first half, as it felt like Detroit had the control of the puck more between the two teams. Power play then for the Hawks, and they score on it. Their power play comes to life here. It's Kane from Strome and DeBrincat at 13:22. Don't look now. DeBrincat's starting to put up points. The Wings tried to answer. They end up with a power play and some really good Lankinen saves to end that power play. So maybe Lankinen coming out of tonight, maybe he's earned himself a chance to be the goaltender for a bit here. Second period, early the Wings get a power play, and then they ended up with another one shortly after that. The Hawks pressure, and it ends up making it a 4-on-4, and then it's Calvin DeHaan with a goal from Strome and Mitchell at 7:53, so that would be the first point for Mitchell in his career. Power play then for the Wings, again. Stahl blocked a good shot from DeBrincat. So I thought Mark Stahl tonight, some nice shot blocking by him. Third period, there was an early chance for DeBrincat. as he was very prominent for Chicago tonight. There was a goal line save then by STAL, who was also prominent. Power play for the Hawks, they score again, and it's Andrew Shaw this time on the power play from Kane and DeBrincat at 6 minutes and 17 seconds. That's his second point of the night. But a little over 6 minutes later, just to keep things interesting, Dylan Larkin scores from Stahl and Nielsen at 12:22. So now Mark Stahl's on the board with an assist. Same night as his brother gets a goal for Buffalo. It was a nice fast break goal by Larkin, basically from center ice in. The Wings then pushed for another. They end up with a power play. However, Carpenter had a nice shorthanded chance that Hronik defended very, very nicely. And then it's an empty netter. And it's Janmark with his first of the season from Murphy and Wallmark at 17:06. And the announcer said Wallmark when it was Janmark, and wrong mark. It's fine. What they really need to do is work out a trade with San Jose to get Handmark in there. And then you can have Janmark, Handmark, Wallmark all in the same line and drive announcers completely insane. Make it happen. So Chicago wins their first game of the year. 1-3-1 for them. Detroit falls to 2-3. Detroit was outshot in the first period by Chicago, 12-10, and then they outshot the Hawks 12-5 in the second. Third period, the Hawks outshoot them 11-9. Final shots favored Detroit, 31-28. Power plays, both teams had 5 of them. Detroit was 0 for 5. Chicago was 2 for 5. Greiss saved 24 out of 27, and Lankinen 30 saves on 31 shots. Very good game. I have been a fan of Lankinen's for a while. It was nice to see him play well tonight. Hopefully, this is a sign of things to come, and that Chicago will give him further opportunities. That being said, I need to change sports. Next up, San Jose and Minnesota. So, the Sharks are 2-3. Minnesota's 4-1. That gaudy record gets a little gaudier. So, for Minnesota, if you are a fan of the Wild, how much are you buying into it at this point? Do you see them as a team that, gets into a playoff spot and then maybe makes some noise? Or is this just a matter of, well, look who they've played. We'll see how it works out in the end. So tonight, early on, the Sharks had a power play. They were ahead 3 minutes in shots, 3-0. And it looked like San Jose was starting off really well until Eriksson Ek scores from Greenway and Hartman at 5 minutes and 1 second. And then 1 minute and 11 seconds later, Matt Nieto ties it from Carlson and Marleau. So Marleau gets his first point of the season on that one to make it 1-1. The Wild get a power play. Nieto was denied a second goal by Talbot. Talbot would get hurt during that first period, though. Keep that in mind. The shots were 6-5 for the Wild at the half. They get a power play out of that as well. Things get kind of scrummy with 4:26 left. The Sharks get a power play, and Talbot denies Hurdle. Second period, Kakkonen's in net. So much like the other night with Carter Hutton. Hutton gets hurt, ends up out of the game in between periods. In this one, Talbot gets hurt, ends up out of the game in between periods. In the case of the Minnesota Wild, of course, Stalock has been on injured reserve since season's beginning, and I haven't heard anything about him coming back. So if Talbot's going to be out for any period of time, this does really hurt Minnesota going forward. Although Kakkonen was very good tonight. Foligno was stopped by Dubnyk in the second as the Wild were pushing. Cole then broke up a 2-on-1. Parisi, however, after the halfway mark of the second period, he gets a goal from Bjugstad at 13-17. And just for point here, the notes got kind of sparse at certain points tonight because there were 7 games on at the same time. So, yeah. So I had a game on the computer at the same time that I'm scrolling around on the TV. So I was kind of looking back and forth. This is why I have the membership on here, and I have I basically pay for NHL Center Ice, so I can watch it on all devices, and I have the NHL Center Ice through TELUS as well, so that I can watch it on my cable on all the channels. So that way I don't have to worry about any kind of issues with how many screens or any of that. And it's just easier that way for me. I know that increases my costs, but it's just easier. So I know it's an old man thing, right? So after that goal, I know I'm old. Cole breaks up another 2-on-1. No need to laugh about it. You really don't. And then the Sharks end up with a power play late in that second period. But Ian Cole had a very good game tonight for Minnesota. The two 2-on-1s broken up by Cole in that second period. We go to the third with Minnesota in the lead. Power play for the Wild. And Kokkonen, again, very good in relief. Some good shots from San Jose. Burns had some good shots in there that he was making the saves on. Dubnyk stopped a chance then by Kaprizov. And fancy shot by Kaprizov. And the funny thing is, the announcers were like, is that a pass? No. He goes back between his own legs and tries to shoot it at the net. And it looked like it went off Dubnyk's blocker. So it was a fancy shot. And if that had gone in, I'm not saying it's Svechnikov level, but it's close. So every game you're going to see a play from Kaprizov that is pretty stunning. They pull the goalie with 1 minute and 50 seconds left, and then that allows Fiala to get his first goal of the season at 18:44. They pull the goalie again. Greenway gets his. I believe that was his first of the season as well. Eriksson and Foligno with the assists at 19:34. So Minnesota wins 4-1. 2 empty netters. It was more of a 2-1 game, but whatever. They get that fourth goal. Final shots, 12-7 San Jose in the first, 13-8 Minnesota in the second. Both teams had 9 shots in the third. Both teams had 29 shots in the game. Both teams 0 for 3 on the power play. Dubnyk saves 25 out of 27. He looked good against his former team. Talbot saves 11 out of 12 in the first. It was a tie game when he left, which means Kokkonen gets the win and saves all 17 shots he faced in relief. So it's concerning if Talbot's out, but if it's a short-term injury, Kokkonen should be good enough to get him through it. He's been pretty solid when called upon so far. Next up, and I had to wear the Rave jersey, right? So Dallas hasn't played yet, and I got a good chuckle tonight because they now have the most goals per game in the NHL, and it kind of feels like they were trying to make up for lost time, and I heard Daryl Ray saying that tonight during the broadcast too. They were making up for lost time. And then the other thought I had was, so they pushed the start of the season back so much, Pavelski thinks it's the playoffs because he gets 4 points tonight. Because, yeah, this was insane. And it didn't start out this way at all. The Stars versus Saros again. Remember, coming into tonight, UC Saros hadn't allowed a goal against Dallas in about, 563 minutes of action. Feels like it. They just couldn't score on them. There was the exhibition game before the play-in round months ago. They couldn't score on them in that because they didn't score on them in back-to-back games at the end of the season either. It's UC Saros. Well, they're not going to get a goal tonight, and then they don't. Tonight, I'm like, all right, UC Saros, I'll put it on the board first. They may not get a goal tonight. The rust showed as well for Dallas early. They used to be Minnesota. It's only like 30 years ago. There were no shots for Dallas in the first 5 minutes. Kamano sidestepped a hit from Borokop, which might have murdered him. I'm not sure. I'm glad Kamano sidestepped it, though. The shots, though, evened up. They were 3 apiece at 9 minutes. And then there's a power play for the Stars. The Predators killed that. Keep that in mind. The Predators then got a power play. Their power plays tonight were not effective. Dallas, I don't know if it was enthusiasm or what it was, or just, it's these guys, and they went out. Because in the second period, they had a game in that second period. Early Stars power play, it became a 5-on-3. During the 5-on-3, Pavelski scores from Radulov and Heiskanen at 2:45, and I thought, okay, well, they get the goal 5-on-3. Or at least they got a goal out of this. And then Radulov scores from Pavelski at 4:11. That's still a power play goal. So I'm like, okay, so they're 2 for 2. Cool. That's great. Predators get a power play. Hudobin denied Johansson. Saros then denied Pavelski shorthanded. The Stars get another power play. It's Gurianov. So Gurianov gets the third power play goal of the period for Dallas. Klingberg and Hintz with the assists at 10:18. And I remember points last season where they just couldn't get a power play goal. They had a power play shot. I was happy. Hudobin, really sharp in this game, which is completely understandably overshadowed by everything else that happened in this game. The Predators go back to the power play. And then it's Radulov scoring from Kiviranta and Pavelski at 14:40. Predators get another power play. It's a shorthanded goal. It's Esa Lindell at 16:41. So that's 3 power play goals, a regular everyday 5-on-5 goal, and a shorthanded goal in the period. 5 goals in the second period. Third period, 4 minutes and 35 seconds in, on another Dallas power play, it's Pavelski from Hintz and Klingberg. I really think Pavelski figures it's playoff time because it's been so long since they've played. That's got to be playoffs, right? The Predators get another power play. They don't score on that. Hudobin again, solid in that third period. Nashville had their chances. They had their shots. Seventh power play for the Stars, and I thought, well, they can't. And they were putting guys on the ice that do not play on the power play. And then they scored again. Klingberg on the power play from Dickinson at 14:52. That is 5 power play goals, which is now a new team record. They had scored 4 power play goals previously as a franchise, both in Dallas and in Minnesota. Those records are gone, as now they've scored 5 power play goals in one game. And it reminded me of last year, Nashville versus Vancouver, where every shot Vancouver had on the power play just went in. It felt like that tonight. And if you're a Nashville fan, I'm sure it felt familiar. So the final score is 7-0. The shots favored Nashville, 10-7 in the first. In the second, 15-14 in favor of Dallas. So they scored 5 goals on 15 shots. And then in the third, Nashville outshot Dallas 10-7. Final shots 34-27 in favor of the Predators. Nashville 0 for 5 on the power play. Dallas 5 for 8 on the power play. Saros saved 15 out of 20. He leaves the net. Rene goes in, saves 5 out of 7. Neither goaltender with good save percentages coming out of tonight. Hudobin saves all 34 for only his 9th career shutout. Kind of surprised, mildly surprised that he's only had 9 shutouts in his career. But he's never really been a starter, so it's not entirely a huge surprise that he doesn't have shutouts. And that he's only got 9, but there you go. Next up, we're going to Vegas and Arizona. So this one gets started early. Coyotes on the power play. Dvorak gets a power play goal from Garland at 3:22. Arizona's power play, if it gets going, this could be a fun season for them. Vegas presses to tie it. Coyotes end up with another power play before the end of the first period. Pretty evenly played first period. And Arizona emerging with the lead. So we go to the second period, and early, off of a brutal turnover, Shea Theodore gets a goal at 1:19. And if you're Arizona, you have to be like, oh, not again. So they come out of the first period with a lead. Things look good. And early in the second period, it's a tie. So Theodore gets a goal. That's his, third in 2 games now. The Coyotes tried to answer. Leonard stopped a chance from Pitlick. I heard Tyson Nash tonight saying that he's been surprised at how talented Pitlick is. As a Dallas fan, I know how talented Pitlick is, and I think he's going to be well received in Arizona. Vegas pressured at about 7 minutes, but then the puck goes back the other way. And it's Derek Brassard, who's been great for Arizona so far. He gets a goal from Pitlick and Dvorak at 7:55. Really solid defensive game by the Coyotes. They were frustrating Vegas tonight, absolutely. And then Nick Schmaltz scores from Garland and Kajula at 12 minutes. So Arizona now with a 3-1 lead that they've built through hard work, solid defense, forechecking, counterattacks. Power play for Vegas, it has 0 shots. The penalty kill for for Arizona tonight was solid when it needed to be. Kemper then denied Kolasar, and there was more Kemper heroics before the end of the period. Vegas had its chances. Third period early. Garland gets the goal from Kajula and Schmaltz, which felt like that was probably the nail in the coffin. That was probably going to end it. Best game for the Coyotes in 2021. They end up with a power play. Vegas gets a power play after that. And this would be a power play goal. Cody Glass from Stone and Theodore at 11:04. So the Vegas Golden Knights made it 4-2. Kemper then denied Marcia. So as Vegas could kind of feel that Arizona was maybe fighting it a little bit at that stage, Coyotes were defending that lead. 2:58 left. Krause draws a Vegas penalty. So Lawson Krause, who coming into tonight didn't have a point, and you could tell he had opportunities. He was close, but he did draw that penalty late. Soderstrom then prevented a goal. He did. Stone gets it. It goes through Kemper, and Soderstrom kicks it underneath the pad of Darcy Kemper. If not for that, we'd be talking about the game being tied and going to overtime. And then when they pulled the goaltender, Osterley gets the empty net goal, and Krause with the well-earned assist for his first point of the season at 19:01. Arizona holds on. They win 5-2 over the Vegas Golden Knights, and so Vegas suffers their first defeat. Shannon's jinx continues. Does a video about a team doing well. Every time he does that, that's what happens. Arizona now is 2-2-1, and they play again on Sunday in the 4th straight meeting with the Vegas Golden Knights, looking to even up their record. We'll see if they do or they don't. Shots in this one, 11-10 Vegas in the first, 11-9 in favor of Arizona in the second, 11-5 Vegas in the third. Final shots were actually 31-26 in favor of the Golden Knights. Power plays, Vegas 1 for 4, Arizona 2 for 6. Leonard saved 21 out of 25. Darcy Kemper, great night for him. His best night so far on the season. 29 saves on 31 shots. And there you go. They get their goaltending. They get the result. Last up, Colorado and Anaheim. So Colorado, this is the, I want to say, third game where I've seen them maybe underachieve a little bit. Although I don't want to take anything away from Anaheim either. I thought the Ducks played a very solid game tonight. So minute 1, right away, power play for the Avs. And they end up getting a goal at 2:56. It's Donskoy on the power play from Girard and Devon Toews. So it's 1-0 early for Colorado, and Anaheim's chasing the game again. Ducks off to another slow start, and apparently coaching staff had talked to the players about this, and they talked about the importance of a fast start, and here they were behind again. Power play then for the Ducks. After that was over, they get another power play. Girard cleared a sure goal. That was going in. Girard clears it out. Second period, early, first minute. Hampus Lindholm from Raquel and Getzlaf at 47 seconds. So Getzlaf gets on the board tonight. Kudos. The Ducks then pushed for the lead. So they saw some weakness there. They pushed for the lead. And they had an excellent second period. Colorado wasn't really generating much of anything in that second period. The Avs had near misses, certainly, but they weren't showing that same finish. Power play for the Avs. The Ducks press. They end up getting a power play. I don't think the Avs recorded a shot during their power play. Then we had 9 seconds of a 5-on-3 for the Ducks. They don't end up scoring on that, though. One thing for Anaheim, they've got to get that power play going. They've got to score power play goals. The Avs went without a shot for, I think it was about 12 minutes that I counted. They didn't have a shot. 2.5 seconds left in this period. The Avs end up getting a power play. So we go into the third. They have the power play to start it. It helps. They were leading in shots 5-2, 6 minutes in. So the momentum had shifted back, and they score. It's Rantanen from Byram and Landeskog at 6 minutes and 20 seconds. It's the first time in Rantanen's career he's had a 4-game goal scoring streak. For Byram, that's his first point. And Landeskog, hard-earned point there for him as well. But a minute and 22 seconds later, it's Henrique scoring his first of the season from Heinen and Silverberg. So at 7:42, on a nice 2-on-1, Heinen throws it over to Henrique. It's in the net. Heinen's off the schneid. So is Henrique. And there you go. So it ties up the game, right? The Avs get a penalty shot, and it was because the Ducks player put his hand on the puck. It was Lindholm put his hand on the puck in the crease. You can't do that. So the Avs can put anybody who was on the ice at the time out for the penalty shot, and the Ducks announcer say it'll probably be McKinnon because he was on the ice. It was pretty good. Brian Hayward said, "Yeah, that's a pretty good guess because of course it's going to be McKinnon." And Gibson stopped him. John Gibson having a pretty good game tonight. Stopped McKinnon on that penalty shot. The Ducks get a power play. We end up with 14 seconds of 4-on-4. The Avalanche get their turn with the power play. Gibson kicked out a good shot from Calvert. Both goalies making really big saves late in this game. Grubauer's name is not on this board as much, but he had a great game too. In the overtime, Gibson robbed Landeskog, and then he didn't. So he robs Landeskog, but then Landeskog wraps it around and into the net. And Makar gets the assist on that one at 1 minute and 38 seconds. So the defense kind of left Gibson hung out to dry. Colorado comes out of this with the win to go to 3-2. And for the Ducks, they're now 1-2-2. So they've got extra points. They're only one game below 500 technically. And we'll see how their next game goes. The shots were 18-13 in the first in favor of Anaheim, and 9-3 Anaheim in the second. In the third period, however, Colorado outshot them 14-11. They got both shots in the overtime, including the one that matters, the goal. Final shots 38-32 in favor of the Ducks. Power plays, Colorado 1 for 4, Anaheim 0 for 5. That's the number that really stands out, is that 0 for 5. Grubauer 36 saves on 38 shots. He's a pretty good goaltender. And Gibson 29 saves on 32 shots for the Ducks. So really, really solid games tonight. And now I need to do the preview for tomorrow. After this is done, and since I upload them, usually upload them at the same time, the preview goes live first because this video is much larger and much more to upload and process than the preview. That's why that works that way. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts regarding these games in the comment section below. And hey, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thanks for all your support. I'll talk to you again soon.